It's 6:30, we're going to get started.
First item, Mr. Chairman, is request the board to take a vote to ratify the license issued on July 26th, a sidewalk stand license for a young woman named Miss Long, doing business as Pure Fro. It's a frozen yogurt place at 108 Merrimack Street. It's a seasonal permit.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Next on the agenda.
Any panelists here? Okay. Special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment applications. Mark Watson of the Enterprise Bank, the disc jockey with sound system, the customer appreciation cookout for Thursday, August 16th, and a rain date for Friday, August 17th. The hours would be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it's the parking lot of the Enterprise Bank at 222 Merrimack Street. Prima Nagathan of the Enterprise Bank, sound system for employee ice cream social for Thursday, September 13th, from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., the employee parking lot at 222 Merrimack Street. And Suzanne Cromwell of the Cultural Organization of Lowell, sound system for live music at the Riverfest for Saturday, September 22nd, from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Middlesex Community College, 33 County Square.
Step up, introduce yourself for the record.
Are you here for both of the licenses?
Yes, I'm here representing both, thank you.
All right. So is Suzanne Cromwell here? Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm Suzanne Cromwell from Cultural Organization of Lowell.
Okay. You know, all of these are during the day. I don't see any problem with them. Anybody got any questions? They're all 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2:30.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yep. All set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda.
Teddy showed up.
Hearing on the application for the alteration of premises with the expansion of service area for CEC Entertainment, Inc., doing business as Chuck E. Cheese. Deborah Shannon is the Assistant Secretary. A malt beverage and wine restaurant licensee at 199 Plain Street, unit number 5.
You don't look like Deborah Shannon to me.
Unfortunately not. She's located in Texas. I'm Michael Karras. I'm the GM over at Chuck E. Cheese.
Say again?
Michael Karras.
He's the GM at
At the local branch.
I'm the hands-on
Okay.
operator. Everybody
Who's
on
Deborah?
paper's in Texas. So
Okay.
He's Assistant Secretary of the corporation that handles their licensing applications.
You guys are just expanding.
yeah, we're adding about 3,000 square feet. Currently, we're 9,000 square feet.
Okay.
Great place, Chuck E. Cheese.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, very nice, well-run. You guys do a super great job with the kids.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, how many
Only
times have you
problem
been
is it
caught
costs
with,
the parents too much money.
how many times you've been caught in underage stings?
Never.
Okay, good.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because if they got a problem with underage, they've really got a problem.
They got a real problem, right. Next on the agenda.
Commission will take up the matter to do with the special one-day license application for beer and wine. Theodore Panagiotopoulos for the Athenian Corner Restaurant, parking lot of the Athenian Corner, 38 Shattuck Street, the Rock the Block concert to benefit the Merrimack Valley Food Bank at Friday, August 24th. With this request for rain date Saturday, August 25th, 6 p.m. to 12 midnight.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Theodore Panagiotopoulos, Athenian Corner Restaurant.
Michael Flynn.
Okay. You,
Recognize those morning radio personalities.
no, I'm not gonna do that. They love us. Yeah, they love us. Yeah, trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We gotta have decorum here. I don't know how to spell it, but it's gotta be here. Okay, now, you've done this before, right?
No, we haven't done the entire parking lot before.
You're gonna do the whole parking lot
We're doing the
now.
whole parking lot.
Wow. Okay, where are you gonna put the cars?
We're going to park them in the garage. We'll give the city some money.
Oh, well, that's probably not a bad idea. They need it. Okay. Well, you're gonna run till midnight. That's not bad at all.
The music ends at 11 p.m., by the way. So
Okay.
we'll have an hour to start clearing everybody out before the bewitching hour.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 And good luck to you.
guys.
Good luck.
luck.
Hope it's a good day. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open a hearing on the allegations of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against Mr. Jalapeno. Brendan T. Doucette is the manager. A malt beverage and wine-only restaurant license here at 124 Merrimack Street. This pertains to police reports dated June 7th and June 11th, 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Brendan Doucette as the manager, Mr. Jalapenos.
Okay. We got one, are we gonna hear the complaint separately, the June's,
We only have one.
oh, that's right, they do. I'm sorry.
I'm going to start with something procedural here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jalapeno doesn't exist. There is no Mr. Jalapeno Inc. anymore.
No?
That was dissolved by the Secretary of Corporations, the Massachusetts Secretary of State, on June 18th.
So you're saying it's an illegal establishment?
I'm saying that the business doesn't exist, and the license that we issued to the business is equivalent of a license issued to a dead person.
It's one complaint, but two different incidents, I guess, yeah.
So, I mean, based on that and that alone, I'll make a motion to revoke the license.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Have a good day.
That's,
And we'll hold if they,
Yeah, in the event that they do reinstate and reapply for,
if we revoke the license,
oh,
are they gonna be able to reinstate it? They will, right? If,
yeah, but wait, hold up,
hold on a
guys.
second.
I'm again, I mean, we can revoke the license, that's all well and fine, but they also have a list of complaints here. They're going out, it's, I mean, we can revoke the license, but we're just throwing these complaints out the window, right?
Not necessarily.
That's what I,
If the commission wanted to proceed with the hearing on the complaints, I assume you may do so. The only issue with respect to the revocation of the license at the moment was there was no notice of hearing on that matter. That would be the only, maybe, impediment to the, for this information, for the record, came to my knowledge, came to me at my attention this afternoon when I was thinking about Mr. Jalapeno and thinking about the problems that have been ever present with the licensee, the problems that the city has had with the manager, the problems with the fact that an individual purportedly is the owner of the business but does not show up on the record as being an owner of the business. So in all of that reflection, I just did a cursory check of the Secretary of State's corporate database to come to find out that the corporation had been organized in 2008 with certain principles involved, and then it was a supplemental document was submitted to the Secretary of State removing 3 of the 4 individuals, and it was only remained to be 1 individual by the name of Victor Hernandez. And Victor Hernandez was the principal and the applicant for the beer and wine license. But in 2008, in the supplement, after that, the corporation has never filed an annual report of condition. So for approximately 4 years, there's no record of the corporation. So apparently, in the Secretary of State's office doing a review of the corporate situation, a number of corporations discovered that this corporation and proceeded to take an administrative action to dissolve in June of 2012.
I guess this is my question. If the corporation doesn't exist, and maybe this is more for the law department, because as it's clear from the Secretary of State records that the corporation doesn't exist. It's been involuntarily dissolved.
Yes, that's
The
correct.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But the license is in the corporation's name. If the corporation doesn't exist, how can they hold a license?
Well, even though the corporation doesn't exist, the fact that the license was issued, it could be that even though the corporation does exist, they could take steps to reactivate their existence, perhaps through the Secretary of the Commonwealth, and through that, perhaps could reactivate their license.
But currently, I agree with you on that, but currently, there is no corporation right now.
Correct.
So how can the city issue a license or have a license that's out there to a corporation that doesn't exist?
Maybe we can phrase it, and rather than, and I guess maybe I might have been a little hasty with using the word revoke. Maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might be better if we were to suspend or take possession of the license since it's issued to a non-existent entity at this point in time, until such time as that entity is reinstated, if it's reinstated at all, and then proceed from that point in time. But right now, I mean, the corporation exists as a legal fiction, as a person, and right now, that person is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
Right. The commission can withdraw the license until such a time that the corporate entity is reestablished. What it can also do is it can also proceed with the hearing regarding the allegations so that in the event that the license is reestablished, there perhaps may be, on the record, these penalties put in place in addition to that.
So
That's what I wanted to make sure we could go ahead and proceed, even though it may not.
I'll make a
the entity may not
motion
exist.
to amend our prior vote from a revocation of the license to a
Indefinite suspension.
indefinite suspension due to the fact that the legal entity is no longer existing.
Okay. And then we'll go ahead and proceed, and anything that we do would be from and after there.
Okay, so I'll second that motion.
All in favor, yes?
All in favor, yes, okay.
And now we can.
Now let's
So now, we're going to, it looks like this complaint was received in the office. This goes June 7th. On this one here, can you give me an idea why we didn't hear this one earlier? Did we give him this one? I'm just curious. You didn't get it until,
Let me ask you, does he want that read into the record, or?
well, I'm just curious about it. It just seems like quite a while. No?
Well, it could just be the police department just had a lot going on, correct?
Well,
It-
let me just,
The complaints on both dates, on June 7th and June 11th,
Yeah.
were sent over on one complaint on June 28th.
28.
Okay. That answers it. All right. Have you read the complaint?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have read the complaint. You want Captain Webb to read it into the record, or do you?
No, thank you.
Okay. Could you just give an overview of the complaint, please?
Mr. Chairman, on June 7th of this year, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section under the command of Lieutenant Goldner were conducting inspections at various liquor establishments in the city. At 10:28 p.m. that evening, they observed several patrons drinking at Mr. Jalapeno's, and they entered to conduct identification checks. A female was found drinking an alcoholic beverage. She produced a Maine driver's license that purported that she was of age, but Lieutenant Goldner was able to determine that the license was in fact a fake license. She then produced a Massachusetts license that showed that she was in fact 20 years of age. The young lady and the other young ladies who were in her group were asked if they had been asked for IDs. They said that they had been asked if they had IDs, but they had not been checked. They also told the lieutenant that they had gone to the establishment because it was known that underage people could be served there. Lieutenant Goldner spoke with Richard Candiani, who identified himself as the cook and the manager for the evening. He said that he had checked the IDs and that the young lady had showed him a New Hampshire license, so Lieutenant Goldner formed the opinion that he had in fact not checked any IDs. At sometime subsequent to their visit that evening, Lieutenant Goldner learned that Richard Candiani was actually the owner of the establishment, and Lieutenant Goldner returned on June 11th to speak to Mr. Candiani. While he was there, Lieutenant Goldner learned that a health inspection that had been ordered performed by the License Commission in connection with a previous violation had not been performed. He also observed that warning signs mandated by Chapter 138, Sections 34A and D were not posted, and that had originally been noted on a complaint on March 10th. Lieutenant also found an unauthorized bedroom in the basement and unsanitary conditions throughout the establishment. The health department was called, and they responded to do an inspection. The health department found flies in a bottle of triple sec and no hot water, and ordered the establishment closed.
Okay. Joseph,
I honestly was not there that night.
what?
I was not there that night.
Was he?
He was.
Okay, step up. Who's
Before you say, now, we had you here, not the last time, but the time before you were here, and you said you only work like 20 hours or 25 hours. Are you picked up your hours at all at the place, or are you still working a limited basis as the manager?
I've picked up some up, but still kind of the same.
Okay.
Not as much.
All right.
All right. Who's living in the basement?
Well, that's a second complaint, right? Or is that?
No.
No, it's all in
part of
one.
this?
It's
Okay.
all in one. That's why I was confused over
okay.
the dates.
Yeah.
Because what they did was they combined
Okay.
two to one, which is good.
Good evening. First of all, I was
Record, introduce yourself.
Ricardo Candiani, and
You get that?
I'm the chef for the restaurant.
Could you just say your name
The
again,
chef?
please?
Sorry.
Ricardo Candiani.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the manager that night.
Yeah.
And I asked for IDs to the girls, and one of the girls, she has no ID, and she wasn't drinking. The other girl, she has ID from Maine or New Hampshire, I don't know where. I'm not, good checking if it's fake or not fake. I served the drinks, and the police came and they find out that the ID was fake. I didn't know that, of course. So I do check the IDs. And I received a letter from the city of Lowell congratulating me because I did the right job.
Right.
So,
You got a letter on this thing. Is that what you're talking about?
well, yeah, I received a letter from the city of Lowell saying, we appreciate what you did last night because you check IDs and blah, blah, blah.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And this is more to the manager. You've had one complaint, not too long ago, we found you in violation and we decreased your hours for 10 days, correct?
Yes.
And then we found another complaint for serving to minors, and we suspended the license for 7 days, 4 days to be held in abeyance, and 3 to serve, correct?
Correct.
Then you served those 3 days? And
Oh, no.
you didn't close for 3 days?
No, we did close.
We
Yeah.
closed, yeah.
And did that hurt the business at all?
No.
It hurt the business, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
But you obviously haven't learned.
We learn, that's why we always ask for IDs.
Yeah,
you
but you're
know,
not
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it.
No good health. I understand,
Oh.
I understand what you're saying.
I'll make a motion to suspend the license for 60 days. Upon the,
I got a couple other,
got a
who's
few more
living in the
oh, you
building?
do?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
All right.
nobody was living in the basement.
what-
There was a lot of furnitures, all furnitures for the store, and there were like 4 mattresses in the basement.
Was it set up like
Well,
bed?
it was a mattress in one of the rooms, and it was my personal winter clothes. A lot. I stock, a lot of clothes that I don't use it, but I have my own house. I don't live there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's the owner of the business?
Victor Hernandez.
And
Did the Board of Health have you clean this all out?
Yes, we clean everything. We throw all the old furnitures. We remove the mattress. Yeah, we also fix the electric. We were closed for like 45 days because we had an issue with the electric on the basement and the plumbing. So they closed the restaurant for 45 days. And we clean everything. We fix the plumbing, the electric, and we reopen again like
No.
30 days ago. Yeah.
You were closed for 45 days?
Yeah,
The Board of Health.
45 days. We just opened like 1 week before the fall festival. We are, we have a lot of economic problems right now because we almost closed the restaurant forever because we don't have, money to run the
You know
restaurant.
what, my concern is
Yeah,
that
but-
these violations occurred when Lowell's not even in their regular session. And I think there's gonna be a serious problem if this
Not only that,
establishment continues.
I don't
to have a
think you understand the concept of having a liquor license, okay? I don't want to sound, I just don't think that you've got yourself a young fellow here who's a straw manager, a manager in name only. He's obviously not putting in the kind of time and the kind of responsibility that needs to be put in, okay? And, that's just a recipe for disaster, an absolute recipe for disaster. Why have you got a bunch of young girls in there drinking water? Okay.
It was only one girl drinking water.
2 different dates since the time you were suspended, the 7th and the other date here, the 11th, you got caught serving minors. 2 days. From what I understand, I guess the Board of Health opened you up again? The Board of Health gave you see, I don't think you're getting the concept here.
Well, we learn from the mistakes, and after that, that suspension, myself, I was working at nights all the times. When Brandon is not there, I was working at night, checking IDs to everybody, and this girl came with a fake ID. I didn't know, I checked the ID, it was okay, and then the gentleman right there, he came and he found out it was a fake ID, so I didn't know that,
Yeah, but that, I'm not trying to be difficult, and nothing against the police. That's not the police job. That's your job. The
Yeah, but
guy
I-
that's working there,
Yeah.
you should be able to look at, first of all, a Maine license isn't acceptable as a form of ID in the state of Massachusetts. Okay?
I didn't
You have
know
to have a mass license. So if you saw that right away, that should have thrown up a flag and said, something must be wrong here. Okay? It's not the police.
Yeah.
It's his job to go into,
No,
to
no,
be in
I-
your
I'm
place
not
to see
saying
whether
it's,
somebody,
no.
they're coming around to make sure that they're doing you a favor, because that guy you give a drink to is gonna get himself wrapped around a telephone pole, and then he's gonna say it's your fault, because you served him and you should have known your business.
Yeah. There is a lot of,
And
col-
you're
college-
one of the,
There's a lot of college students for all over the, different states, and we're not gonna have business if they are coming from Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine.
nothing says you have to serve them.
Yeah,
Nothing. There's nothing in the law that says you have to serve them. When you get students that come from, they got a student ID card. Okay?
yeah,
But the problem is that with this college just starting up, these kids have access to these computers. They can produce anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
So you have to be one step smarter. And obviously, you've got 3 times in a row here. How many other times you didn't get caught? And yeah, I know you got this letter, but so that one night, luck was on your side. I don't know. What do you want?
Look, my concern is this. We have a manager of record, we have somebody else who was managing that night. We've got an owner who's not keeping up on even his basic paperwork. And if his livelihood's in jeopardy, he's not even bothering to show up. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Doucette, I feel bad for you because I think you got hung out to dry on this one. Because it was only a few weeks ago, we were in here and we were getting all these promises about how things were going to get better. But if there's no change in hours and there's no constant supervision, and, the bar has one manager, not 2. So I'm hearing tonight that, I've been doing, he was managing that night.
He was off
Whatever,
that night.
whatever the business model is, it's not working. All right, this is 3 times in a row for the same offense, twice in a row with health offenses, twice in a row with, I mean, you get told in March to put up the sign about, what the mandatory penalties are for drunk driving, and, in June, they're still not up, so that's 3 months to put up a sign. I mean, I'm kind of, I know we suspended 4 days. I'm going to make a motion that those be imposed, and then I'm prepared to second Commissioner Occasion's motion.
Okay.
And but I would like to amend Commissioner Occasion's motion, if I may, to have those 60 days run from whatever time the indefinite suspension is cured.
Yeah, that was my intention.
Okay.
Yeah. When the suspension
When-
is, yeah, when the indefinite.
I mean,
They
right
have to
now-
prove to the license commission,
That the cooperation has been straightened out.
Yeah.
Then the 60, once
well,
they do that.
then the 4 days.
Then the
and
4 days, and
60
then the
days
60
on top of
days.
that.
All right. Got that?
If I may make the recommendation.
Sure.
I recommend that you also you revoke the license and keep it in the possession of the License Commission.
We always,
We already did
we
that.
always, no, well, not, we don't use the word revoke, that has legal consequences, but
Sure.
I guess what we do is whenever we do that, the police department always, and Captain Webb always takes care of having somebody go down there and take
get the
physical
license.
Okay,
possession of the license.
certainly. I just wanted to just
Yep.
point that out.
Okay, you got that?
So, okay, the plan is
The plan is that.
to impose the 4 days that was suspended. Oh, first, the plan is we have an indefinite suspension. At the time that they cure that indefinite suspension by reinstating the corporation, they'll do the 4 days that was suspended, that's now imposed, and an additional 60 days
So the
after that.
revocation is, you're rescinding the revocation of license.
Right.
Yes.
rescinding the revocation, doing an
wait-
indefinite suspension, followed by
Right.
64 days.
Okay.
Just for notice purposes.
So
Okay,
it'll be
have you- you
64-day
understand?
suspension
Right.
once.
When he comes in and proves the
When and if
cooperation
they
is
reinstate the
viable.
corporation.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Didn't- Just for my own curiosity, did they bring a health inspector from Boston, or did they have a local health inspector? Because I remember one time we ended up at a place here in Lowell, and they brought ABC.
I think Lieutenant Golner could best answer that.
Lieutenant Golner, where'd the health inspector come from? The city? Okay. You call him out? Yeah. Yeah. That's okay, I just, no, they had one up here, used to be the Rainbow Cafe or something. I remember we had a health inspector from Boston come up, and we had to go down there because he wouldn't, and they literally took all the bottles in the place and dumped them down the sink while we stood there. I think the guy cried, but anyways. Next on the agenda, excuse me.
Commission now open a hearing on the allegations of misconduct as charged by Kenneth LaValle, the superintendent of police, against Puff Inc., doing business as C's Spot Bar. Claude Charlotte is the manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 171 Lakeview Avenue. This is on a police report dated of June 28, 2012 inspection.
And before we open the hearing, I'll make a motion that we indefinitely suspend the license of Puff Inc. for failure to be an active corporation in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As of today, it's involuntarily dissolved.
Okay, do we got second the motion? Second. Motion seconded, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So Captain Webb, can you get their
You'll
license
Pick their
too?
license up too, please. Okay, now, introduce yourself for the record, please, so we can get,
name's Andrew LaCourse. I'm representing Mr. Claude Charlotte.
Pull the mic over so the audience can,
Sorry.
it's all right.
My name's Andrew LaCourse. I'm here to represent Mr. Charlotte in this matter. I just learned that, obviously, date of involuntary dissolution by court order. I don't know why that is. I can't explain that right now, but we may be able to address it during the course of the hearing.
Do you want the complaint read into the record? Have you read the complaint?
I have read the complaint. I would like, there are two complaints that I actually,
Yeah.
both are dated July 20th this year. One has 4 items, and the other has 3 items.
Correct.
I think we have to address them.
Well,
We have 2 separate hearings, correct?
Well, there were two separate notices for 2 separate hearings.
we can't combine them like they did the other one?
It's, you do what you wish. I don't know if you can do that or
No,
not.
no, no.
I mean,
We
they were
can't do what
notified
we-
as two,
the quorum.
there were 2 separate letters. There were 2 separate letters.
We have to do it separately.
On the last hearing, there was one complaint, a letter of complaint to,
Yeah,
so that's why we had 1 hearing.
Okay, all right,
And
then we'll
with
do
this
2.
one, we'll have to have 2 separate
We'll
hearings.
do 2. Do 2, do 2.
This organization doesn't
Okay.
exist.
Let's go with the complaint dated July, oh no, excuse me, June 28th.
By court order.
Okay, June 28th, Captain Webb. Have you read the June 28th complaint? There are 4 items on the complaint.
I have, Mr. Chairman.
You have?
I have, yes.
Okay. I'm just going to have Captain Webb kind of put a
Summary.
summary into the record, so for this is televised and the general public needs. I don't think it is. I don't think she's in there.
What do you want me to do?
Gonna-
No,
Oh, Captain Webb, excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, this decorum stuff is killing me. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, on June 28th this year at approximately 9:55 PM, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section under the supervision of Sergeant Noon were making observations outside of the C-Spot at 171 Lakeview Ave. That time, the detectives observed a male unloading cases of beer from a pickup truck into the side entrance. At 10:20, Sergeant Noon approached Claude Charlotte and asked him to explain what he was doing with the cases of beer from the truck. Mr. Charlotte told the sergeant that he had purchased the beer at Manning's Liquors, and he told him that he had purchased the beer at a liquor store because he was having trouble getting deliveries from his distributor. Sergeant Noon then found 2 cases of Heineken beer and a case of Corona beer in the cooler inside the bar. Sergeant Noon also found that the bar was dirty. Empty bottles were laying around the floor. Fruit flies were found in a bottle of ginger brandy, and bottles were stuck to the shelves. And the sergeant also observed that the warning signs required by Chapter 138, Sections 34A and D were not posted. Sergeant Noon pointed these violations out to Mr. Charlotte and submitted a report. Sergeant Noon is here to testify if you'd like to hear further.
Okay, did he call the Board of Health? Did Sergeant Noonan? Yes. Did you call the Board of Health on this one? Would you step up to the mic for a second, just to, so we can get the... did
What
you-
I did was I notified Captain Webb the next day or several days afterwards, and he said he would notify the Board of Health.
Did you got the Board of Health?
I made the request. I do not have any information on the results of any inspection.
Okay, all right.
If I may just
Yes.
interject, late this morning, I was emailed an Excel file from the Health Department, and I've highlighted where apparently the Health Department may have done an inspection in July,
Yeah.
July 9,
July 9th.
and it's listed as having passed.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a copy of the document. I have an duplicate original, and I have copies for the...
Okay. Bring it up. That's okay.
Thank you.
This is the 9th. This is 7/9. He went from, oh, well, I didn't really that long, I guess. Okay, all right. Huh? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, tell us your side of the story. This has got to be it.
Mr. Chairman, I believe what had happened, there was some old bottles of liquor, I believe it was a ginger brandy. Yes. And one that it hadn't been really used. It was old inventory. This gentleman was told to keep it on his inventory. I disagree with that philosophy. He should clean out the inventory. He immediately cleaned the area, complied with, as you can see from the document, the inspection. He has complied. There is a notation on there that there was some repair work on the floor that needed to be in addition to the other conditions pointed out. My client has since resolved. The cleanly issues have been resolved. The floor has been repaired. My client, in regards to the signage issue, did add some signs that he printed up. He's going to purchase, and his thought is to put additional laminated signs that show the penalties as required by the law. And addressing the issue with regards to selling liquor that was not purchased from a wholesaler, my client was under the assumption if he provided receipt and accounted for it, he was going to be okay under the law. He's clearly mistaken. There's no doubt about that. He was under the mistaken belief. It's not a history, it's not a practice he's had since he's been involved with the establishment for 6 years. I believe his license history, I believe he hasn't been suspended at all during that time period. There might have been one reduction in time hours at one point in time, 4 or 5 years ago.
He's never been suspended.
But the hours of operation at the bar, Mr. Chairman, he operates it. He's a computer software engineer, assistant engineer, and he works a full-time job in the day. What he does, the bar doesn't open unless he's there. I would characterize him as a responsible owner, gentleman who doesn't want it open unless he's there. He opens from 9 to 2, essentially Wednesday through Sunday. He's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. He's willing to comply with any of the he would like to address each and every one of the concerns of the complaint, by the chief and as articulated by the commission. I would say most of it's been resolved. In addition to some signs he had printed, he's going to purchase some laminated signs that basically lay out the law in a more clear fashion, because I think he had some misunderstanding about the signage. In regards to I believe it amounted to about 4 cases of beer on that 28th, or 3 cases, if I'm not correct. He thought he could do that. He's clearly mistaken, and he would request the commission allow him to correct the issues. I know there was a motion that was seconded to indefinitely suspend him based on this dissolution of the corporation, but I would like an opportunity to try to correct that.
Well, if you correct it, you'll be able to be back in business. You'll get your license back. But until that point, until there's proof of that, it's got to be suspended.
Right. And that's the purpose of the indefinite suspension, is just it was issued to a corporation that doesn't exist. When the corporation is back and viable, we have no problem reissuing it. But that's
there again,
a separate issue from this hearing.
separate issues from these, okay?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
This isn't, he's been before us before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've
had issues with them before.
had issues in the past.
There was a shooting at your place, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was
Well, it was outside.
Well, it was outside,
but,
yeah.
There was a shooting, let's be realistic. We're not
when was
gonna-
the shooting? I don't.
Actually, I don't think it was a shooting. I think they caught somebody with a gun running
You remember,
about
Jack,
2 blocks away,
by
or a
any
block
chance?
away.
I caught with a gun
Yeah.
several yards from the place.
Yeah, there was a shooting outside in the past few months.
Okay,
There was, yeah.
Okay.
all right.
And there was some issues with the cleanliness of the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Right next to the Polish Center?
There's no parking.
No, but with the Polish Center, weren't you having an issue with cleanliness?
Oh, I don't have no problem.
You guys were here, and we had you sit.
We had the two of you.
That was when
in
we
the
had
same room.
We had a complaint from the club next door
Right,
that
that they were-
customers were
yeah.
parking in their lot and making a mess, yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at this as a businessman, okay? You know, the police officer walks in my place and looks around and says, you know, you didn't put up the signs the way you were supposed to, so that's a violation. So they tell me, you know what? Before the policeman's out the front door, I'm banging the sign on the wall. It's that simple. I mean, I'm banging that sign up there. If I want to make extra copies and all this good rhetoric, I'm going to do that when I'm closed, and I'm going to take them and go have copies made, and then I'm going to put them back up before I reopen. But if the policeman walks in and he says, where's your signs? Oh, they're in the drawer. You can bet your bippy if I had to get a wad of bubble gum, I'm going to slap it up on the wall so it's up there. You know, I mean, that's real simple, okay? That one, I just can't even, I can't even understand why it's, you know, 2 weeks later, it's still not done. It's probably done now. Somebody says, God, this place is filthy. This is my place of business, okay? I've invested my money in this. I'm probably going to stay or pick up the telephone, call a couple of people or a cleaning company and say, I want you to come in here and wash this place out and clean it. You know, I mean, these are just common sense things. And I don't understand where you're coming from on that. It just, you know, I'm going to call my wife and say, get out here with a vacuum cleaner and, you know, let's wash and wax the floors and do whatever we need to do to, you know, not so much from a public standpoint, but just a personal standpoint, a personal pride. This business is obviously, to me, the way I'm looking at it, is a part-time venture for you. Because you work all day, you have a job where you work and you get a full-time salary. This is a ancillary part-time venture. And you're not putting enough time into this to understand the impact of what you're doing. That's where the problem comes. It's you know, I
had someone to take care of that, but she didn't do a good job, so that's why I stepped in, trying to do it a little bit part-time, because I didn't want to keep the place closed.
Yeah, but serving alcohol is not a part-time job.
That's true.
It's not a part-time job. Serving alcohol is 24/7. You're the manager of that place. I don't care if you're in Argentina. Something goes wrong at that place, you better be there. It's that simple, because you're responsible for it. It doesn't, that's still beside the point. He's using it as a hobby.
And, Mr. Chairman, that's what,
Full-time into it.
and that's why when he's there, it's open.
Problems with all of the places that do this. The places that do this, that only open up like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the evenings on those are the guys that are gonna try to make a killing in those 4 or 5 hours that they can be open. And then they put their money in their pocket and go home. And, you know, I made it through another week, and hopefully I'm gonna be able to, you know, survive it. You know, I mean, alcohol is a full-time commitment. It's not something that you can do on a casual basis. It's just my feelings on it. I mean, we've said this before, and so. Got anything?
My client has informed me that he's in the process of hiring a full-time manager, a manager to do what he does above and beyond, and have another set of eyes and hands in the business, making sure things are done in a more efficient manner and looked at, like you said, in a more responsible way, saying, you know, having the cleanliness issues not arise again, having the signage issues. He did immediately make some signs and post them. 21 plus ID required at door or no entry. 21 and over ID required at C spot. If you bring a minor to the door for entry, you'll be barred from this club. No exceptions, thank you, but per the management. So he did create some signs immediately, like you said. I think the signs could be better. Was my point with buying the laminated signs. Not that he waited this long. He did put new signs, and I do have photographs if you.
No, I don't, these aren't signs that he made.
I think there are certain required signs.
There are signs that are issued to him when the license is issued. Did you give out the signs?
Chairman, all of those signs that the complaint reference to are issued by the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, and it's required of the licensees to obtain those signs from the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission for posting in a conspicuous place, much like the liquor license is
Right.
to be posted. So it is those signs. The Office of the License Commissioner, no licensing board has those signs. They're specifically from the state, from the
Okay.
Alcohol Beverages Control Commission.
And they contain all the information regarding the penalties for operating under the influence for certain other offenses. But that has to be posted.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
there are a lot of places in Lowell that have great signs.
Yeah.
I mean, great signs. There's a guy down on Chelmsford Street, he's got a 6x4, you know, if you're not 21, get lost sign. I mean, you gotta give the guy credit, but a homemade sign doesn't substitute for what the secretary was saying.
It doesn't?
The signs that are issued by Boston,
The statute
Have to go and
requires
pick
that
'em
the
up?
specific sign issued by the ABCC.
and you have to, yeah,
Has to be
but
posted.
my point is, do you have to drive in and get it?
No, no.
Don't mail 'em.
The Alcohol Beverages Control Commission will forward and mail signs for each business that requests them. But they specifically highlight what the state law is, highlight exactly what state law is and it pertains to. It pertains to issues regarding driving under the influence, and that the customer has to be made aware of the fact that he or she who drinks is subject to suspension of their driver's license, and consequences are even greater if it's more than one offense. And then also with respect to the licensee, as far as the ensuring that they understand that state law requires you cannot sell or serve to a person under 21 years of age. And the consequences for selling to a minor can be not only loss of license, but it could be probably treated as a criminal offense.
Okay.
Well, what do you guys want to do on this complaint? I mean, I think it's clear there's a violation of the sale from an unlicensed
Yeah, he admitted to it.
supplier.
Yep.
The clean and sanitary condition,
Yeah.
it sounded
Yeah,
not
yeah.
clean and sanitary. The signs, obviously,
Yeah,
weren't there. And, I mean, I know the illegality is always,
And purchasing from the,
well, I said
right,
that,
we
that was
just
the
said that,
first one.
the first
yeah.
one, yeah.
And So at least 3 of the 4, and possibly 4 technically, I guess 4 of the 4.
Let me just see here. Uniform, for sure. Suspend the license upon establishing the corporation again, same as before. He's got to,
Upon the termination of the indefinite suspension?
right,
Okay.
he served 30 days closure on this complaint.
The only problem I have with the 30 days is that seems, to me, a little excessive, just because, you know, he did have some issues before, but it seems like they have been cleaned up. And maybe the police can, what's your input on this? How has the establishment been run in the recent past?
I haven't visited the establishment myself, but I'm not aware of any complaints. In all fairness, I do have to say that Mr. Charlotte has always been very cooperative and always conducted himself as a gentleman whenever we've dealt with him, so I can't offer you any,
Okay.
anything other than that.
But I remember at least when I first got on this board, there were some issues.
Yeah.
And he seems to have retaken some remedial action to clear those, and he hasn't been in front of us in a while, so, in my opinion, I think 30 days, is a little harsh, so I wouldn't be inclined to second that motion.
Come up with something.
I would say that for this complaint, and bearing in mind that we have something else coming, but
Yeah, well, that's
for
what-
this, I would suggest that when the license situation, when the indefinite suspension is cured, I would say 2-week suspension, suspended for a period of 6 months.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
No. No. Next one. We have a complaint dated July 6th. Basically, have you read this complaint?
I have.
For July 6th?
I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And
Captain Webb, do you want to give us a summary?
can you give overall?
On July 6th at 9:12 PM, I observed Mr. Charlotte unloading cases of beer from a pickup truck parked on Coleman Street beside the side entrance to the bar. A few minutes later, I approached him with Officer Langlois and inquired as to his activity. Mr. Charlotte produced receipts and told me that he had purchased the beer at Manning's Liquor Store on Bridge Street. And he told me that the reason he had done so was he was having trouble getting deliveries from his distributor. We then went inside the bar, and he showed me cases of beer in the cooler, 4 cases that had come in that night, and 4 other cases that he told me he had purchased at Manning's the previous evening. There were also several cases of Budweiser beer in the cooler. I asked to see the invoices, and Mr. Charlotte was able to produce invoices from his distributor for the Budweiser beer, but not for the Corona or the Heineken beer. I also found that the conditions inside the bar were unsanitary. It was dirty. There were empty bottles on the floor, sticky surfaces. I found 4 open bottles of beer standing in a beer chest in back of the bar, and pointed these violations out to Mr. Charlotte, and I seized the receipts and the 8 cases of beer and brought them to the station.
Do you have any questions or any input on that?
No, I mean, essentially, it's the same issues that were ongoing. The cleaning happened after that. That's all occurring on July 6th. The cleaning of the establishment happened after that, and then the inspection from the health inspector, which was paperwork submitted in the previous complaint, Lori Purcell, and she stated to be in compliance on July 9th for the cleanliness issues.
Let me ask you this question. If on June 28th, the police came to you and said, you can't buy alcohol from not a distributor, why on July 6th would you do it again?
Exactly. If I was told that I could not purchase from the distributor, I would never have done it. I would never have done it.
But
it's because my accountant, told me when I had the problem with my distributor, I talked to my accountant, and he said to me, as long as you provide me the receipt, which that's what I had when they approached me. That's the first thing that I had. I said, I have receipt for it. I know what I did, and I have the receipt. But if I know I was doing something illegally, I would not done it. I've been in business for almost
But
But you're not
Officer,
answering the question.
could you come up to the microphone for a second?
I never told that I could not do that.
Okay. On June 28th, you're the officer, or sergeant,
Yes.
correct? That spoke to Mr. Charlotte?
Yes.
And you instructed him that what he was doing was illegal, correct?
Yes, we had explicit conversation outside in the rear door regarding the purchase of the beer from the liquor store. We explained it to him. He explained his issues with the distributor. He showed me receipts from his distributor for the domestic beer. So there was no question at the time. We talked about the fact that he was purchasing beer from a liquor store, the ID issues in the bar, and the cleanliness of the bar. That was talked about very explicitly with them.
Okay. So, Mr. Charlotte, you're saying that he's not telling the truth?
He never told me that.
That's
Exactly. He never told me that I could not do it. If he
not
did,
true.
I would not done it.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
well,
That's fine, I
well,
just
it's
wanted-
okay.
We've heard
Let
statements from both.
me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I think it's my belief that Mr. Charlotte's understanding in the conversation was a little different than the officer's. He's not suggesting the officer's lying. I'm not suggesting that. I think matters of perception, people perceive things a little differently. He was under the mistaken but incorrect impression he could do what he was doing. Completely mistaken. He was very, I think, cooperative with the police. I think Officer Noon, Sergeant Noon rather, and the captain would indicate that this gentleman has been cooperative, and he wasn't, as soon as he came into my office, I told him, you can't do that. I said, you can't, and he explained why he thought he could, and he got some bad advice from his accountant and someone else. It's that, and he's being honest with the commission here about that, and he was honest when, they came in. I would suggest he was under that mistaken belief. There's no question now, after he sat down with me, I told him, there's no way, you can't do that. I pulled up the law, I read it real quickly, showed it to him. It's clear he couldn't do it. I think on the dates of these two complaints, though, I think with all genuineness, he was under that belief on both instances. And clearly erroneous belief, clearly. I would respectfully suggest a disposition and similar to the first.
Mr. Schultz, let me ask you this. You have been operating this business for 6 years?
Yes, sir.
Other than these 2 times, have you purchased alcohol from a liquor store and not a distributor?
Always, all my receipt, I got all my receipt from my distributor.
So just the only
That's
2
not the-
times? No, I'm
That's
just,
not the question. The question he asked you is, in the years that you've been operating, have you bought from a liquor store before?
I don't buy from liquor store, sir. I know the law.
so the only, you just said you knew the law. So the only 2 times you've done it, you got caught?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
And I had the receipt because I had no idea that I wasn't supposed to do that.
But you just said you knew the law, that you
But
weren't supposed to do it.
Because that's what my accountant told me.
Yeah, but your accountant is
accountants
not the
aren't
manager
lawyers.
of the store.
Exactly, I was misled.
You know, you have a responsibility to know the laws. Having a liquor license has a responsibility. That's the problem today. Everybody wants things, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. And so it makes no difference who. It makes no difference who. You are the manager of record. It's your responsibility to know these things. Are you tip certified?
Yes, I am.
You are, okay.
I'll make a motion for again, contingent upon the reinstatement of the corporation and subsequent to the termination of any indefinite suspension, for a 30-day suspension with 2 weeks to serve and the balance suspended for a year.
So it's
And that would be, so essentially that would mean for the first
Say that again, please.
30-day suspension, 2 weeks to serve, and the balance suspended for a period of 12 months.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 And that was 30-day suspension for 15, 30-day suspension, 15 to serve, the balance suspended for 1 year.
Yes.
After
the indefinite.
After he's
Yes.
reinstated.
After he's reinstated, he'll do a 2-week suspension. He'll then have 2 weeks from the first offense suspended over his head for a period of 6 months, and an additional 2 weeks that'll be suspended for the period of those 6 months plus 6 more after that. So, in short, for the first 6 months, you'll be carrying a full 4-week suspension over your head, which will drop to 2-week suspension, provided that you don't violate anything. And that'll carry over for the balance of a year. But let's not see you back here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, board members. And thank you, I appreciate it.
Attorney?
Thank you so much.
Attorney?
Yeah.
You have a business card, sir?
I do.
Thank you.
That's it, huh? Anything? Anything else?
Just need to get a clarification on when the board possibly could meet again, whether the board should meet on possibility of Thursday, August 23rd, and if not then, September the 13th. I have a couple of things pending right now with respect to applications for the board to consider. It's possible ratification of such action could be taken at a meeting date on some of these. The only thing of concern, I know, for the chairman's sake, when a manager of record is no longer with the licensee, it's important that that licensee proceed to file application for a new manager. And unfortunately, one of the licensees, their manager of record died last month. And so I was in conversation with the club treasurer, it's a club licensee, as a matter of fact, and the club treasurer informed me that they were in the works of getting a new person for the board's consideration, and they may not have that situation squared away until maybe next week at the earliest. So anyways, the possibility of whether the application could be before the board if a meeting was to be scheduled on August the 23rd, or not. If not, we could move.
August 23rd would have to be up to you guys. I'm scheduled to be at Fort Dix that week.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be here that day.
Okay, so would September 13th be okay?
I informed you earlier that
Yeah,
I
I
can't be
understand.
here.
All right, you can't be, yeah, all right, let's move something up here then. I mean, I don't care, I'll come more, you know, you gotta, well, if you got a club license and they're trying to rectify it, we have to put it, we have to notify the public 24 hours in advance. Is it 24 or 48?
Well,
48.
and with all due respect to all parties concerned, you know, it's, board wants to meet in a convenient time for the general public.
Right,
and
6:30.
6:30 PM is that designated time for the licensing board. And this chamber, and usually it's a meeting on Thursdays, and this chamber will be occupied a week from today, and it's possible the 23rd, the board can meet, and then the 30th, and then there is the Tuesday after, the Thursday after Labor Day, which I think this room will be occupied again, and then there's the 13th.
Could we meet the August 30th, or is that?
You could meet, I won't be available, but
You
you
won't,
can.
okay.
You won't be available.
But you
Then we
certainly may
can't.
meet.
All right,
Yeah,
then-
you,
no, then we won't do that.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's, first of all, we've got, you know, we've got some, as long as we give it 48 hours notice, we don't have to meet on a Thursday. Am I right?
that's correct.
Okay.
I mean, the
Then
board-
my suggestion to you would be, if you got a club license pending, if they get back to you with the paperwork, okay, even if we just had a one-shot agenda and we met at 6:30 in the, I gotta be careful, I get decorum. I was gonna say the bathroom, but we'll meet down the hall in the mayor's reception
Well, I
room.
need to know, because in setting the,
We'll meet down in the mayor's reception room if this room is busy. So, you can set a date. If you get this thing in and it's all together, I know you'll look at it to make sure that everything's there. Then if you could call us, we could say, okay, we'll do it Monday night at 6:30. That would, then you'd post the meeting for Monday night. You know what I mean? At a night that you could be there.
okay, I understand.
Not necessarily the three of
okay,
us,
so
but-
for the moment, we're not scheduled to meet at a specific time right now.
Right.
After
Right.
tonight, we're not meeting, okay.
How about just September 6th? Typically, the planning and zoning board switch their meeting from whoever it is scheduled for that Monday night goes to the
That Thursday.
Thursday night. But do they meet at 6:30?
If they're meeting at all, they usually are scheduled either 6:30 or 6:30
I
PM.
mean, we couldn't, just, we don't have to, but couldn't we meet at like a 5 o'clock
Yeah.
time? And, you know, it's
Sure.
still convenient to the public.
Yeah.
It's still a Thursday.
And, you know, just because I know what you're trying, I mean, I can appreciate what you're trying to do, and I think if, you know, what, you can help out one of the clubs, I don't see a problem with that. And if the guy's got his paperwork together and he's working with you, let's do it when we can. And when, 5 o'clock could be, as long as you got the, you know, we gotta make sure it's posted the 48 hours.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, that, yeah, you know, so you look at it and you pick, you know, the time and let us know.
Okay.
And we have had a lot of extra meetings as a license commission this first 7 months. We have, and we've.
Been running about 3 a month.
3 a month. So a little respite might not be that, it might be what the doctor ordered for us.
I mean, when we're at the point where our agenda is down to 7 items.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
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 Coming home, Benjamin.